Hey. Thank y'all for joining us with another session of Realistically Speaking with your girl, Ros B. Yeah. You know me. I'm going to keep it real. So, as y'all know, I like to talk about different topics. Some may be comfortable, some may be a little uncomfortable, but I like to keep it real and give people the honest, raw truth about whatever it is I'm talking about, or where people can form their own opinions and they hear both sides of the story. So today we're going to talk about paying your debt to society, like how long, because a lot of people are released from prison and they still have struggles and go through stuff and still not accept it. Like for me, myself, having been to prison 6 times, federal and state, it was hard for me. The last time that I was released from prison was in 1998. And the struggles that you go through when you are released from prison is hard. And sometimes it'll send you reeling if you're not ready or stable or have the support from your family, support from your community, support from different friends or whatever. And the reason why I say that is because when I came home from prison, my grandmother let me live with her. So I lived with my grandmother. I had to find a job and I was on probation. So one of the rules of your probation is to be honest. They don't want you lying on your applications. Federal probation especially, let me say that. They don't want you lying on your application because to the federal prison system, that's a violation. State prison, not so much. But they don't want you lying on your application. So when you tell them the truth, have you been convicted of a felony? You say yes, and you try to get a job. A lot of them, once you say yes, that determines no, you're not going to be hired. And they tell you, they say, well, at this time, blah, blah, blah. They could have told you, oh, yeah, we're looking for somebody. But then when you check that yes box, it's like you see the difference where, oh, no, well, not right now. Well, check back with us in such and such a time or whatever. You get that kind of. And then when you lie, I have lied on my application to get a job and I get the job because I'm qualified for the job. But then after they do the background check, and remember now, you're fresh out of prison. So your background check is new. It's not 7 years and 10 years. It's only a few months. So they like, no, I'm sorry. Or they would come and tap me on the shoulder and say, Miss Jones, we got to walk you out. Grab your stuff. Your background check came back. And it's really embarrassing. Because it's like, okay, you're qualified for the job, but you're still being, okay, I'm a convicted felon. I know that, but I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to get a job and do it the right way. And it's embarrassing because sometimes you're in a room of people. You're still in the middle of training. Most great jobs, you have a week or 2, 3, 6 weeks of training. You're in the middle of training in your 2nd week or 3rd week, 1 week sometimes, and you get the tap on the shoulder. So it's like, this is my reaction. After 3, 4 times, I'm like, okay. Just grab my stuff and walk out. Everybody's looking at you like, where's she going? Something must have been wrong on her application or what's going on. So now you're being walked off the job because of your record. So it's like, okay, what do I do now? Which way do I turn now? So then I was told to, go to some of the what's those jobs called where you go and it's like job placement. You go to a job placement service and you go there and you fill out the application and they ask you, have you been convicted of a felony? No. I mean, I've been walked off. At this point, I've been walked off 3 or 4 jobs. 2 for being honest and 2 for lying. So, hey, I'm going to take my chances with lying because at least when I lied, I did get a chance to work a few weeks to get a paycheck. And remember, now I'm living on my paychecks now. I'm not out there selling drugs anymore. I'm not out there hustling anymore. I'm not out there stealing and stuff. So this is how I'm choosing to try to do right. So this is what I'm going through. So you go to the job placement agency, they find you a job, you lie, you get a job. So I tell y'all no lies, I think I was walked off about 9 jobs right here in Orlando, Florida. 9 jobs. Each one I worked a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. The longest I ever got away with my lie of being a felon is like 4 weeks. And remember now, I still got 2 kids to take care of. I'm fresh out of prison. I got 2 daughters to take care of that are teenagers, and I can't get a job. I can't keep a job. I could get a job, but I couldn't keep a job. So not only that, when I'm applying for places to live, they want to know, have you been convicted of a felon? So they're running your credit. They're running your social security number, mind you. So now I'm getting turned down for apartments as well. So as a person that's a felon, what do you do? And this is the reason why so many people are repeat offenders. Because when you get out, you don't have help. You can't get a job, you can't find a place to stay, and you don't have support from your family. So what do? You go back to what you've always known. Whether it's stealing, robbing a bank, hustling, selling drugs. You go back to those things because you're trying to survive. So that was just to give y'all a little insight about me and my struggles of what I went through. And a lot of you are probably saying, okay, so what did you end up doing? Well, I didn't go back to hustling. I didn't go back to the streets. I just kept lying on applications until I would get a job. I finally got a job at AOL through Spherion and job placement. I lied. So after the training, after 90 days, they can hire you permanent. So I just kept praying and asking God, like, Lord, you know I'm trying. You see these struggles I'm going through. And I finally got hired permanently after the 90 days. So that is how I was able to get employment. So I'm going to be having a guest that's going to come by and tell his story of what he went through, and his name is Dr. Paul Rivers. So yay, let's give it up for him. So again, this is Ros B from Realistically Speaking. Y'all got to remember that name. We'll be back right after this break, and we'll be diving into some conversation with Dr. Paul Rivers. Y'all stay tuned. Okay, we're back with Realistically Speaking. This is your girl, Roslyn B. And remember, I told y'all we have a guest, Dr. Paul Rivers. So remember, I was telling y'all some of my story about what I went through after being incarcerated the last time. So now we're going to hear from Dr. Paul Rivers and hear some of his testimony, some of his story.
Yeah, it's I'm so glad we talking about this. This is not something that I've ever really talked about with anybody before, but wow. I definitely feel that the experience is something that needs to be shared because there's a lot of people going through it. I mean, for me, it was really like a culture shock because I wasn't, like I got plenty of homeboys that kind of came up in the streets, ended up with cases, came back. So, coming back to the streets, you was already in the streets. I was a pharmacist, you know what I'm saying? So I remember something that the judge said the day.
But before you say that, hold that thought. Give them a little forefront, like.
What happened?
Right, like how did you? Because you went to college.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you did. So tell us a little bit of that.
So graduated from FAMU.
Yay, the Rattlers.
So I got a doctor of pharmacy degree. I came out in 2002 and I worked, I pretty much worked all over Central Florida, and I had opened 2 independent pharmacies. I had 2 independent pharmacies that I own, and the second pharmacy that I was working for, they were doing an undercover sting for trying to just, investigate who was diverting oxys, to the street. Now, I didn't have anything to do with the case they was investigating, but the dude that they sent to my pharmacy, I was an independent pharmacist, was somebody I knew. And basically, there are certain things that I'm responsible for as a pharmacist to check before I fill a script like that, and I didn't. I just knew him. I did it, and it was he was. What I didn't know was that he had done got himself hemmed up, and he was working with the feds, and so he came in, had a camera and a microphone. So. And even the federal investigators, they said, well, you didn't have anything. They actually showed up to when I went before the judge, the investigators, to speak on my behalf. They said he didn't have anything to do with the case we were investigating. But you didn't follow
protocol.
Right, and so I got hit with 1 case of dispensing a controlled substance less than normal standards of practice. And so that 1 transaction with that dude came in there, it cost me my pharmacy license. And I remember something the judge told me the day she sentenced me. She said, I don't want to overpunish you because, losing the professional license was punishment in itself. But she sentenced me to 24 months. And what she told me was that when I came home, I'll be able to integrate back into society because America is a very forgiving country.
Do you agree with that?
Hell to the nizzle.
I don't agree with that.
Let me look directly at the camera. Hell to the nizzle. You know what I'm saying? No, it's not.
No,
forgiving.
It's not.
And I'm telling you, and for me, it was like, I don't know anybody, so I can only speak from my experiences. You know what I'm saying? Take a guy that prior to that, I'm walking around here with my pharmacy license, and from a professional standpoint, I was very marketable. I mean, literally, I had people calling me all the time, trying to get me to switch, work here, So I went from professionally being sought after to, I kid you not, Roz, it was some jobs that I was embarrassed to even apply for. But I needed bread, I needed some money, I needed something, and that whole America being forgiven, no. When I came home, so I'm telling everybody while you're in there, everybody got a plan for what they're gonna do when they get home.
Right.
Okay, I lost the pharmacy license, so I can't practice pharmacy, but I'm still a doctor of pharmacy. I know chemistry, I know biology, all of this. So I'm thinking, okay, I can teach. I can go. My mom was a teacher at Valencia. My dad was the dean of admission at Valencia. So I'm thinking, okay, if nothing else, I could probably go teach at Valencia. I can go teach biology, chemistry, a whole lot of things.
Right.
Or I can even add on a high school level. I could teach. So I'm thinking, okay, I can come home and teach. No. Mine was considered a federal drug charge. So I'm automatically excluded from any kind of position with, publicly funded schools, and then private schools ain't gonna pick you up because you're gonna, you could put them at risk of losing their accreditation. So the teaching didn't work. I had a homeboy had a very successful tax service in another city. He was going to set me up with a satellite of his company here in Orlando, teach me how to do the whole tax game. He said, I'm gonna lay the whole game out for you. You can just open up an office in Orlando and just start and run it. You gotta be licensed through the Florida State Comptroller. His name was Steve Atwood at the time. If you got a felony drug charge, automatically no. I was going to start selling insurance packages with this one company. I mean, it seemed like every road I tried to go up legitimately. Because, see, I didn't have like a street background to fall back into or anything like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I always been on the
Right.
professional side. So it seemed like taxes, insurance, no matter what I tried to do, I couldn't get certified to do it. You know what I mean? And
Right.
it was like, man, these people really just want me to cut some damn grass or something. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I felt like. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, all of that mess about forgiving and second chances, no. You get that, and it's like you say, you have to answer that question right, because they're going to do a background check. So I never didn't answer it right. You know, I put all of my truth on an application. I mean, I was sitting up for this dude to get a job. I was going to be selling timeshares for Westlake. He's sitting there going over my application. Have you completed any? It's there. I guess he thought I was lying. He said, "Why are you applying for this job?" I said, "Because I can't use my pharmacy license anymore, so I need to make a living for myself." And I literally got to 3 interviews, separate days, separate interviews. I'm thinking, okay, I'm about to start making some money. They get to the 3rd interview and tell me you've had a felony drug charge in the last whatever years, and that excludes you. Why you didn't tell me that at interview number one? You know what I'm saying? They took me through 3 interviews just to tell me my background check prevented me from getting hired. And we'd love to bring you on board. Everyone spoke very highly of you. You're very personable. I think you'd be really good. Unfortunately.
Been there, done that.
And so, it just put me in a mind frame where I just needed to build something for myself that I'd be my own boss. And so that kind of forced me into entrepreneurship, and I already kind of had an entrepreneurial spirit anyways. That's why I had 2 independent pharmacies, but it was in the lane of my professional degree. So
let me ask you a question. Did this ever, with you going through this, did it ever cause like a depression or make you feel like...
you talking past tense. You can get current tense with depression. Hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? But, and that's funny you say that, because now I work for a mental health practice, a medical mental health practice, and certain things that you wouldn't even consider depression. We literally just had this conversation this morning. One lady said she was angry and bitter, and they said that's depression. And everybody always think depression is just home sad moping,
and it's
not. Any kind of
you got people functioning under depression and don't even realize they're depressed.
Right. Well, yeah, I definitely, man, I get, that's something I battle with every day. You know what I'm saying? Because I go from, kicking myself thinking about the lifestyle I used to have, and I had it all. Chris will tell you, I had a big house on the lake, jet skis, motorcycles, you name it, big bachelor pad,
Wow.
And so, my ability to provide for myself, at least in my thinking, took a hit because I didn't have that professional license. And, entrepreneurial and, lifestyle ain't for everybody. It's a grind. You got to get out there and you gotta create something for yourself, and so I have these bouts where, I got a good idea, I think it's going to work, you put a lot of muscle into it, effort trying to get it to a certain point, it don't take off in enough, like with my products, great products, but it's slow to catch on. And I gotta eat in the meantime. Some entrepreneurs can do it on the side of a main job.
Not to cut you off, but let me ask you this. So when you see people that are repeat offenders, and we like, how do they become a repeat offender? And someone that doesn't understand the struggle, they're quick to judge and say, "Oh, they back in prison," or "They just don't get enough," or they. But here's the thing that people got to understand is when you come home and you can't get employment, and you can't get a place to stay, you don't have anyone to depend on, then you go back to your old habits of survival, whether it's selling drugs, robbing banks, stealing, whatever you gotta do to survive. So people are quick to say, oh, but like, what do they do?
Right. And that's it. Life is real. It's not a fairy tale. You come home, they put you out in the streets.
And like you said, if you, before you went to prison, regardless of how you did it, you had home, car, business, you had income, family depending on you, you helping other people, then you go to prison and you lose it all. A lot of people got to come home and start from scratch. A lot of people don't have a support system. Right.
Now that was my blessing. I had friends and family, but for me, that was the hardest part for me. I'm gritty. You know what I'm saying? I can survive in pretty much any kind of circumstances. I'm level. I don't rattle. The hard part for me was how much my mistake cost my family. You know what I'm saying? The things that I couldn't do for myself wasn't as important to me as my inability to do things for my little girl that I would normally do. Before I went in, she was spoiled rotten. She was the joke with my daughter's family. My daughter's mother's family was Paul always got the baby. The baby mama just babysat from time to time. That's how much I had her. You know what I'm saying? So, sometimes I get in those moments where it's things she wants. She pretty much got what she needs, but I just can't do everything for her that I want to do. And for me, that's a hard part, because you realize me not being able to provide those things isn't just lacking for me. It's creating a void for my family, and that's the hardest part for me. So, but I'm blessed, man. I do got a good family support system. People that knew me before believe in the dude that I am. I'm the same dude, and that's what I had to realize. I'm the same dude that I was before. You know what I'm saying?
And see, this is why I wanted to do this, just to give, because it's a diverse situation going on with prisoners, people, felons. You know what I'm saying? You come from a good background, a family that had your back, and you went to prison. There's people out there that didn't have that support, don't have it, didn't have a good background, had to scrounge to make a living, and they ended up in prison. I come from a good background, but I didn't have that support because I'm like the black sheep of the family. So I didn't have that. So, but what I want people to see is anybody can go to prison. And unfortunately, look how your situation was.
You'd be surprised. Because like again, I was at the camp, so that's where all the white collar people go. In the room I was in, it was 12 of us. 2 preachers, 2 millionaires. The old white man that sat in the bunk above me, we cool to this day. Multi-millionaire from Metairie, Louisiana. He was in federal prison for bribing a judge. I don't know what he offered him and what he was trying to get for it, but he got hemmed up and he was in there. And you'd be surprised, it was all kind of Wall Street guys there, people from all walks of life. And it's like you said, you never know what can land you there. There's plenty of things that probably could have sent me to prison before that incident. I don't fault anybody for it. It's my fault I went. It was a mistake I made. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first part. Step 1 to learn from your mistakes is to admit you made one. You know what I'm saying? So that you don't make that same mistake again. If I'm ever in a position where I gotta, put my professional integrity on the line, risking it, it just ain't worth it. I'm poster child for that. You know what I'm saying? I lost everything for, doing a favor for homeboy. It wasn't even no real money involved. You know what I mean?
Right.
I lost everything for free. I'm like, damn, where they do that at? But, it's But I done already went through the whole gamut. I done kicked myself. I done picked myself back up, kicked myself back down again, trying to pick myself up. But it's a constant struggle, man. But
and see, you went to prison one time.
Right.
You learned your lesson.
Did I?
Me, unfortunately, I went to prison 6 times.
Wow.
5 times state, 1 federal.
What was the longest single bid you had?
Almost 5 years.
Wow. See, I got sentenced to 24 months. I did 17 at the camp. And then the rest was a mix of the halfway house and at home with the monitor on. And when I tell you, them jokers got all the time they gonna get from you, boy. They gonna get all the time. That's it. They ain't gonna never see me in no prison camp again.
Yeah.
But that was tough, man. It's for me. It
And
doesn't
your situation was kind of like, you were kind of like entrapped, kind of, because of how it happened. Mm-hmm. Me, I made bad decisions, but I did it. Mm-hmm. I can't sit here like a lot of people say, oh, it wasn't my fault. I did it. Yeah. You know, I did. I went to prison. I went to prison for credit card fraud, embezzlement, armed robbery, possession of a firearm.
Armed robbery?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I can't see that. Look at that smile. Excuse me. Break yourself. Oh. With the smile. Smile at somebody. Excuse me.
So I'm just saying, this is the old Roslyn, the young, wild Roslyn.
That,
oh, yeah.
Empty your pockets.
Robbery is different. It's different ways to get robberies. Right. So, but that was me then. But those are choices that I made. Right. And some of it was for survival, because I wasn't the type of female that was going to just lay on my back and get money. No, I'm throwing bricks at the chain gang right along with the next. You know, I done stood out there in the streets. A lot of my followers know me. I hugged the block right along with them, selling drugs, you know, doing whatever I wanted to do. Right. I wasn't one of the people that went to prison and said, okay, when I get out, I ain't coming back. My thing was, I hope I don't get caught, because I got to do what I got to do to survive. And back then in state prison, they had game time. Mm-hmm. So that last time, I ain't get no game time because of my violent charges. So I had to do that day for day. Wow. So that's when I made up in my mind, you know what? Oh, man, it's time to quit now. You know what I'm saying? Here's the thing, though. A lot of people get jail and prison mixed up. It's a big difference. Yeah. Because when you go to jail, it's like, you know, I never got sentenced to jail time. Every one of my charges took me to prison because it's a point system. Right. So I had to go to prison. When I first went to prison, I was 19 years old and I was pregnant. Wow. When I first went to prison, they sentenced me to 13 months for violation of community control. Wow. Which you had the ankle, but I didn't have the ankle. I had the supervision people coming by 10, 11 o'clock at night. Where you at? You supposed to be home. Mm-hmm. You know, you supposed to call them when you go here, when you go there, get permission. I was like, I wasn't feeling none of that. Right. So they violated me. They sentenced me to 13 months in prison. I only did 3 months and came home. Right. So I guess I could say I didn't learn. Right. I was only there for 3 months, so okay, cool beans. That's all I had to do.
My lesson learned was immediate. I mean, I'm going to tell you the truth. I remember my first night. I sat in the bunk. I'm in a bunk in a room like the size of like a regular small living room, and it's 12 dudes living there. And I was on a
So this was when you got to prison.
when I got to the
Where
prison
did you
camp.
do you? So you were in jail for how long before the feds transported you?
See, that's just it. I didn't. They sentenced me in June,
And they let you turn yourself in,
and they gave me a date to turn myself into the prison camp.
and you went to Pensacola.
Yep, I had to turn myself.
They gave
into-
me a date to turn myself in to Danbury, Connecticut, where Martha Stewart and them was. I knew I wasn't gonna drive way to no Connecticut or turn myself in, so I went ahead and went to the county jail and let them transport me.
you.
Yeah.
Wow, no, they and the craziest thing, man, the way God works some stuff out. My brother, he works for a property management company, and they transferred him to Pensacola.
Okay.
Like literally like 5 months before I got sentenced to go up there. So literally the whole time I was at Pensacola, my brother lived like 10 minutes right outside the gate. So I always had a visitor. But man, that first night when I got there, they put you in that orange jumpsuit. They put me in that room. Everybody just trying to feel you out. And I remember laying in that bed, and I was like, oh, I can't let these people see it, because you go in there with all these conceptions of like what federal prison is. I'm thinking, I'm thinking I need to get the little wrist thing and hook my soap up. Don't drop the soap. I'm thinking all the little prison stereotypes. And I'm just laying there in that bed the first night, and I'm like, how the hell did I end up here? Dude, I was the dude that, my buddy Steve, all his homeboys was in the game. I was the one that wasn't. I was the one in school. I was the one, doing all the right things. How I end up here, you know what I'm saying? So you're right. It can happen to anybody, and like I said, it was my fault. It was something that I did, but it wasn't like, some long-standing career life of crime.
Right.
I made a mistake and it cost me a lot.
So let me ask you this. So you were saying when your first day, how you felt. Here's my thing. It's kind of like before you turn yourself in, it's a feeling of kind of like I can imagine how somebody would feel if the doctor tells you got 2 weeks to live. That's how I kind of relate, because even though I wasn't told that, but it's like you got to turn yourself in. So you're looking around, you're looking at your kids, your life, your house, you're petting your dogs, and it's like almost like you're doing all these things knowing this is limited. You looking at the sky.
Yeah.
You paying attention to stuff you ain't never. I'm driving through the neighborhood I drive through every day, speeding in and out, coming and going. Now that I know it's limited, that this ain't gonna be my life for a while.
Yep.
Now I'm looking at the houses that you never paid attention to.
Yep.
You looking at the trees, the flowers, the sky. It's like,
Everything.
oh Lord, this is my last time for
They sentenced me in June, but the date that I had to turn myself in was August 12th. So I had like about 2 months in between her telling me that I had to go and the day that I had to do it. And I remember those couple of months, man. My youngest daughter at the time was 2 years old, and she was like, she cried when I left to drop her off at her mom's house. You know what I'm saying? Like, if she could, that girl would get in my pocket and stay there, And so, but at 2, what's she gonna think? All she know is she used to seeing her daddy
gone
every day, and I'm sitting over there, she just happy, and Daddy, can we go to the park again? And blah, blah, blah. I'm just sitting over there.
On the inside, you dying like.
But you know what I did with that? When I got to that camp, I dumped all of that into the stories. My story, the first story I wrote, in there is a dad and a daughter in the story, and all the stuff that character did was the stuff that I missed about doing with my daughter back home.
When we come back from commercial, you're going to tell us about your books.
Please do. I labor of love.
Yeah, okay. This is Ros B with Realistically Speaking. Y'all, I'm sorry. With Dr. Paul Rivers. Y'all got me on this book. I done lost my train of thought, the words and everything. But stay tuned. Hey, it's your girl Rosalind B. We're back with Realistically Speaking with
Lord.
Dr. Paul Rivers.
Da-da-da.
So, as inmates in jail and prison, I want to get your perspective about officers and how they treat inmates.
Lord have mercy.
Because I've had a few bad experiences where I had to go to lock for cussing them out and getting ready to hit one on one day.
Wow.
So what are some of your...
I'm going to tell you. Now, one thing I can say God gave me before I got to prison. I was in the military for 5 years.
Okay.
I served in Desert Storm. I was in that Iraqi desert for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Two very significant instances happened to me during those 6 months in that desert. The maddest I've ever been in my life and the scaredest I've ever been in my life happened to me in that desert, that in those 6 months. And the maddest part I take out of that is it's basically like a measuring stick. Whenever I'm in a moment where I feel like I'm too mad and I'm about to lose myself to anger and do something stupid, I refer back to that day in the desert. If I can keep my cool in that, I can keep my cool in this. So I say that first because that's why I didn't react to those officers the way that I probably would have had I not had something like that in my past to help me measure myself. But absolutely, man, this is my personal opinion. Prisons and the way that they operate them, they are not trying to rehabilitate people.
Amen.
They are not. They are trying to condition you to basically believe that you ain't shit. That's what jails do. They condition mentally. It's more mental lock up than physical.
True.
You're a grown man and you trying to ask another grown man for permission to go piss. And then this nasty joker saying no just to mess with you to the point where you piss on yourself. They just do stuff like that. And I think the federal board of prisons, they really need to look at what measuring sticks they hold those COs to. Because you literally got jokers that come to work to get their rocks off by
messing with you.
Yeah. You caught that, right?
Yeah, I caught
You caught that. And I ain't gonna say no names, but it's a couple of them.
They don't have to have a reason. And that's what I tell people. Inmates go through stuff.
Right.
Don't feel like, they need to be in there. But they go through stuff.
No, man.
You got officers come to work. But here's the thing. In all prisons that these officers need to understand. Those inmates allow you to go home.
Yeah.
Let that sink in. And think about what I'm saying. Those inmates allow you to go home.
Yeah.
Because you got some inmates in there that don't care. A lot of the prisons are gang affiliated now, So when you come in there as an officer and you're talking to these inmates any kind of way, treating them any kind of way, do your research. Officers have gotten killed in some prisons.
See, and that's another thing. Like where I was at was I'm not ever trying to portray it like I was in some major prison facility. I wasn't behind I wasn't in a prison. And I think in terms of the way COs act, that was worse for me. Because COs in real prisons, I done had guys that was there. They say, man, COs in real prisons don't act like that.
Yes, they do.
Well,
Yes, they do.
I don't know that. I don't have that comparison.
You got some jerks.
But
in all
if
of
you
them.
go to, if you got a CO in a max penitentiary with dudes who serving life, ain't gonna never ever see freedom
And don't
ain't
care.
got nothing to lose, and you go in there disrespecting them, and they take a shank to your neck, what it's gonna do to them? I wasn't gonna never be out anyways. What they gonna do to me?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
And then those are the officers at those prisons, like you said, they try to be a little more.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The accountability is
So
a lot
of
different.
the nasty officers that's nasty for no reason need to go to and work at some of those prisons.
Bruh, I'm telling you, the place where I was at is a minimum security prison camp. Everybody there is either short term that ain't trying to do nothing to increase
in
their
trouble,
time,
yeah.
or they done did a long bid and they at the end of the road right about to go home. So ain't nobody finna do nothing to jack up their time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And the COs know that.
Right.
And they try you. I mean, you got dudes trying people on stuff that ain't even related to anything. It's bad enough that the federal prison system is commercialized the way it is. Let's start there. At the end of the day, it's privately owned. A bunch of rich people own it, and they got these. Where I was at, it was about 3,500 inmates in this prison camp. All 35 of us went somewhere and worked hard as hell. We were landscapers, cutting grass. I don't know SH about driving a tractor till I got there. I'm mowing big old acres of fields and tractors.
With them big red lawnmowers and tractors.
Bruh, with the big tractor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we doing labor, and that prison is charging the places that we're doing this landscaping for. They are charging them real fees for us being out there.
So how much do the feds pay for each inmate?
That's what I'm talking about. I cut grass 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. The owners of the prison charged the place that I was cutting grass for me. What's federal minimum? The federal minimum wage is what is it right now? I don't even know what it is.
I don't even know.
But they charging them at least that. So just call it $12. That's what they're getting paid for me to be there.
Right.
The owners of the prison are getting $12 an hour minimum for me to be there. They paying me 17 cents an hour.
Not including the money that they're getting paid for you being an inmate.
Right. They're getting supplemented. At the end, I cut grass for 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday. I get paid once a month. And at the end of the month, my monthly paycheck
might be $20.
$32. And the people who own the prison done got paid
twice.
All of the difference of what I earned, what my labor earned, that's going to them in their pockets. So let's start there. Prison is a new form of slavery. Period. I said it. You can look at me and say it. I was there.
I agree.
I cut grass 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday, for 17 damn cents an hour. I got a paycheck at the end of the month for $32, and I use that to buy stuff out the commissary, which I'm buying from them, and they overcharging me. They charging me damn $6 for a pack of fucking pens to write my people letters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's all a money trap.
Yeah.
It's all a money trap. Call it what it is.
It is.
But at the end of the day, the people who own those prisons, the government has to hold them accountable for how they treat those people while they're in there.
Right.
You making hand over fist. It was an old Creole dude. He was Creole. He was from New Orleans. Cooked like ain't nobody's business. Oh my God, this dude can cook. And for us inmates, it was everything. You know what I'm saying? and I'm getting emotional because the dude was nice. He was one of the people in my room. This man died of a goddamn heart attack in federal prison. They ain't have nothing to do with his sentence. And it wasn't because it couldn't have. I'm a pharmacist. I know what adequate medical care is.
Right.
This dude was not receiving adequate medical care and died of something that could have easily been prevented.
Wow.
Had he had adequate medical care. How in the hell is the government allowing people to make money the way they do off of inmates and then not hold them accountable for, at the bare minimum, giving them adequate medical care while they there? You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
this
sure.
man died of a fucking heart attack because y'all wasn't getting him blood pressure pills. Period. Blood pressure pills. I'm a pharmacist. I own 2 pharmacies. I know what blood pressure medications cost at a wholesale for a pharmacy. Nothing. You can get blood pressure pills for nothing almost. You charging people for $12 to $14 an hour and paying the inmate 17 damn cent. And you can't at least buy this man some damn blood pressure pills if he needed. And the government letting them do that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. The federal prison system is designed to make you believe you ain't shit. The way they treat you,
too.
the way they care for you, nothing. And then people at home say, well, they shouldn't have broke the law. Granted, that's true. That's true. We paying our debt to society, but at the same day,
and a lot of them breaking the law, they just haven't gotten caught.
But at the end of the day, fair is fair. If you're gonna use these people and make money off their back, at least take care of them.
Right.
At the very least, take care of them. You know, and it was heartbreaking for me to see that man die the way he died over nothing. You know, he didn't have. That man got a family at home. Y'all could have got him some medications that would have cost y'all literally less than $3 a month. I know for a fact that's the truth because I bought those medicines for my pharmacy. It would have cost you less than $3 a month to get this man the medicine that would have prevented him from getting to where he got to. So you're going to make every single dollar you can off of these people's back, and you ain't going to even at least take care of them. Federal prison system needs to be totally revamped. It needs to be fair. Hold these privately owned prisons accountable for how they take care of the inmates. Period. I ain't saying it got to be some extravagant shit, you know.
Right.
It's prison. It ain't supposed to be comfortable. I'm not asking for luxuries.
Right.
We asking for necessities.
Yep. Basic necessities.
You know what I'm saying? Basic necessities.
Yep.
And it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible, man. That man died of a heart attack. I cried more for him than I did for myself.
And I can see that you're still emotional about it.
He was a really good dude, man. Howard. We call everybody by our last name. I don't remember his first name, but his last name was Howard. He was from Metairie, Louisiana. He's from New Orleans, Louisiana. The old white man above me was from Metairie, Louisiana. I guess the federal prison system tried to keep you in the region where you're from, so I was in Pensacola. So it was a lot of people from Florida, a lot of people from like Mississippi,
they
New Orleans.
They say that, but they sent me way to Danbury, Connecticut. I ain't from Connecticut.
Go figure.
I'm from Florida.
But yeah, man, Mr. Howard, man, he died at the Pensacola federal prison camp of a heart attack because they wouldn't buy this man some cheap-ass blood pressure pills. And this man cooked his ass off for them inmates. Boy, we all was jacked up when he died. This man, he put love into that food, man. That was like some New Orleans stuff, man. He fought with them for seasonings. They ain't wanna get this man money for seasonings to buy, you know, for the food. You know, you already buying cheap ass food. You know, you get the delivery trucks come in, and it's horrible, man. But you know, back to the point about COs. you know, not all COs was bad. It was some really good ones. You know, it was some really good ones. People who still saw you as a human being, went out their way to try to treat you humanely. You know, they realized, you know, yeah, you made a mistake. You here, you paying your debt to society, but that ain't my reason to treat you bad. You know,
Right.
But then you got some that's on the opposite spectrum,
Right.
and they come to work. They got mental issues, they got whatever voids they got in their personal lives, and they come to work and they take that shit out on inmates because they have the ability to do that.
Okay, Mr. Rivers. We're gonna
Pardon me, boy. Y'all got me on a soapbox, boy.
This is Ros B and Dr. Paul Rivers. We're gonna take a break real quick and
One time for Mr. Howard, boy. I ain't gonna pour it. I'm gonna pour it down my. You know how they say pour out a little for your homies. I'm gonna pour this for Mr. Howard, man.
We'll be back with Realistically Speaking.
Now you can't get no more realistically than that.
Okay.
There it is.